Hi. Using a little bit of present time if it will come out. So I can stay in the here and now. Pay attention to what I'm doing. I get distracted. I said that I was going to come on here in late morning and talk about quantum physics and how that pertains to oils, or how oils pertain to quantum physics. And then I figured I would just realize when it was late morning because I would start to get hungry. But my daughter talked me into making a protein shake earlier in the morning, and therefore I didn't get hungry. And when I didn't get hungry, I didn't realize what time it was. And so here it is, like past noon, and morning is over. So sorry about that. I hope you weren't sitting around waiting. I'm sure you weren't. Lots of things to do. But here I am using my present time. So I get in the now because I was distracted. So hopefully you can see me good. I know that the lighting is kind of funny in here. What do you know about quantum physics? Hi, Megan. Hopefully I will not get horribly distracted by the little words on there. It looks way different. It just keeps changing. Everything keeps changing and I can't keep up, but I learn a little bit more every day. Some of the things, like, remember Periscope? I did not like Periscope. I'm glad that's a thing in the past. And now we just use Facebook Live, which isn't my favorite, but I'm doing it anyway. And did you guys watch all of the red versus blue team videos this past week? How long has it been going on? It seems like a little while, not that long. But you know what? Some of those ladies had never done a Facebook Live before. I'm looking at my phone because I'm afraid it's going to fall off of that thing. They had never done a Facebook Live before, but they stretched themselves and did it anyway because of the challenge, and I really appreciate that. And I wonder how much you guys paid attention to that and what you saw. If you saw that those women are all building businesses, and yet they did not start out to do that, so you could call it an accidental business, or a business even though they didn't want to, because they couldn't not share about the products. And they felt like not sharing about the products was keeping a super awesome secret from the people that they know and loved. And so that is what, hey Carrie, congratulations on gold. Carrie hit gold last month, and I didn't even put that in the Facebook group, but it's coming. It's coming. So see how I get distracted? Anyway, those women are working hard at businesses because they love the products. Were they looking for them? Usually not. Usually they weren't looking for them. They just happened upon it, or someone happened to mention it to them. So that is a not warning. What's the word I'm looking for? That is for you to know about people in your life. They need these products. Everybody needs these products. Even if they don't know they need them, they need them. And you're going to run into somebody new today that has never heard of Young Living. I ran into somebody last night at the Toastmasters meeting. And this lady sitting next to me, it was her first time there, and she asked me why I was there. I told her why I was there, and she wanted to know about the oils I use. And she goes, oh, I can't. I said, well, toxins are everywhere. She goes, yeah, I'm allergic to all smells, and I can't do any smell, so I make my own soap. And I use peppermint. And I said, oh, yeah, where do you get it? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know where I get it. So people don't know about Young Living. So if you don't tell them, somebody else is going to tell them. Somebody else is going to tell them, and somebody else is going to get that sign up. So you don't want that to happen. You want them on your team. You want the people that you know and love to be on your team. So you want to tell them. And I see, rabbit trail. I should write speeches like I have to for Toastmasters, and then I keep it in front of me and stay on task. But Anyway, I'll come back and talk about more about the red versus blue later. Right now, I want to talk about the quantum physics aspect of essential oils. Quantum physics is really an interesting science. And if you've read much about it, it takes into account the person who's doing the experimenting. In classical chemistry, if you have an experiment, then everyone who does the experiment, the results will come out exactly the same way. You're going to have people that are going to ask you about the oils and say, well, show me the science that shows that they work. Like the science for pharmaceuticals that show that this particular drug has this particular action. They want it to work the same every time. But what happens with the oils or things that are alive, if there's a life process involved, the person who is involved doing the experiment has an effect on the experiment. Okay, so you're probably going, what does that mean? What that means is, depending on who does the experiment with the living organism, and right now we're talking about the oils, whoever does the experiment is going to have an effect based on their thoughts, their intentions, if they're praying, and their expectations. Those things are going to have an effect on the results of the experiment. They've done experiments on, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Okay, let me look over here. There was a book written about the effect of prayer on plants and how the continuum of time the continuum of time and space doesn't matter to the effect on the plant. So if you have a relationship with your plant, so like you guys know about my plant, I'm pointing over here like you can see. My Christmas cactus over here, I have a relationship with that cactus. I have had it for a long time. I talk to it. It blooms for me. And we have a relationship. So my thoughts affect that plant. And if I pray over that plant, it affects that plant. That one thing that I just recently learned is that is not limited by the time-space continuum. What does that mean? That means I don't have to be sitting here right next to it. That means when I go on trips, and I've been making whoever's here talk to my plants, like when my husband stayed here and took care of the plants. Of course, I do have to have him water them, but I don't have to have him talk to them because I can pray and I can think about them. And because of the time-space continuum doesn't matter with living things, it knows what I'm thinking. Is that just so intriguing and interesting? And Carrie McVeigh has this biofeedback type machine thing, which she can do these, I don't know if it's experiments. No, that's not what it is. It's not experiments, but she does these sessions with you with a picture, with your picture, and she does these biofeedback sessions over space. So she's far, far away, but she does these biofeedback sessions, and it affects you because we are not limited by the time-space continuum. In quantum physics, we're all connected, interconnected. Is that amazing? So they did this experiment called the delayed split beam experiment because light can be squirrel. Light can manifest either as energy or as photons or matter. So it can't be matter and energy at the same time, but it can be either matter or energy. So it depends on the person who is doing the experiment, whether if you like shoot out a light beam from one side of the room to the other, when it lands, you're going to see it on the wall, and when it lands, it's either going to be particles or energy. It depends on what the person who releases the light beam wants it to be. So they did these experiments, the split beam experiment, where they would decide it would be one thing and it would land there and it would be, and it didn't matter who was doing the experiment. It was the thought process that went into it. And they even with the split beam, they put mirror and split the beam and wanted it to be 1/2 matter or photons and 1/2 energy or the light wave, the vibration. And it was. When they released it, it was. One was light, one was energy, one was matter or photons. And so what that means, or the conclusion that they came to, is before it was released, it was a packet of probabilities. And the person who was doing the experimenting had an effect on the experiment. So how that translates into essential oils is that when you're using them, because they have energy, because you have intention, because they are a living thing, then you affect what happens as you use that product. So you're not going to get the same result every time. You're not going to get the same result as the person next to you. You're going to have the chemical probabilities of what will happen based on the constituents that are in the oil, but then you're also going to have the quantum probabilities of whatever your expectations are is what you will receive. And if you pray over the oils in it, it affects it in an even stronger, increases the effectiveness of it as well. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Man, I have been really distracted today. I should have put on clarity in addition to the present time. So, what quantum physics has to do with essential oils is that, yes, there is science. You can look on PubMed and pull up the constituents of the oil, and they are going to react or affect the person based on those constituents. Okay, so you do have that, but you also have the probabilities of what you expect to happen. Our bodies are the majority made up of water, and there's a Japanese photographer scientist, Marusuri Emoto, and he's done experiments with water where they will say words over the water, and whether they are positive words or negative words will affect what those water crystals will freeze into, and then they take these pictures of them. When they say words like beautiful, love, healthy, then they'll be the snowflake-like pictures will be symmetrical and beautiful, all in intact. But when they say words like ugly or hate or even names like Adolf Hitler, then they'll be all fractured and dissonant and disconnected and ugly. So if you think about that, our thoughts affect water. Our bodies are water. So, and same concept. Okay, you have that effect on yourself, what you're thinking all the time. You can affect your body by your thoughts. That's why positive thinking is so important, and not allowing the negative thinking and not getting down on yourself. Don't you get up and you look in the mirror and you go, dang, I could really fix those, or man, I'm having a bad hair day, or I wish I didn't have this wrinkle or that sag or whatever. Don't say those things to yourself. That is not good for you. Don't say those things to yourself. And here's something interesting too, that if you're interested in this subject, you really need to get David Stewart's book, The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple. In the back, there's a whole chapter on quantum physics and the effect of thought and things like that on oils and on us. It's really a great book. Lost my train of thought again. I was going to say something else, but you need that book. I don't know where else I was going. I'm totally not going to do this again. I'll probably delete this video, but for those of you that are on live, hopefully you understood what I was trying to say. So appreciate that, and I'll come back later if I think of more. Thanks. Bye.